he just went low. He's in his head. He's in his head. He's open. His head wide open. Cracked open in the face.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Mario Man 2100 back again with the How's My Team series, and this episode is going to be a little bit shorter because obviously we don't have as much to talk about. I'm recording some of this on Friday, the Friday before, so yeah. So with all that said, welcome to How's My Team. Okay, so on the English football front and the A-League front and the Australian football/soccer, we don't have much to talk about at all. Liverpool obviously have got a couple of weeks off, or at least this week off, as well as the A-League. But we do have some international football going on. So we just had the game last night between Australia and Indonesia. Australia looked like they were going to be behind in the first 5 to 10 minutes after Indonesia had a couple of shots on goal. Unfortunately for them, they didn't capitalise on that, on those opportunities, and Australia ended up coming out as winners, 5-1 at the end of it all. So a couple of missed shots from them. Obviously there was a lot of possession either way on each team, mostly obviously to Australia, which obviously, as you can see, the result definitely shows the possession game. And there was a couple of good goals there, a couple of good saves as well. Some shots that were on target but did obviously miss, either hitting the post or hitting crossbars and stuff like that, or completely missing. But that's what you get with football/soccer. Obviously, if you're not a good striker or a good shot on goal, obviously you'll miss it a lot. I know this from Rocket League when I play that with Jordan a lot, is that we hit the crossbar and the post a lot. And even in real life, I know some people might say, oh, but that's just a video game. Even in real life, I've only scored personally, I've only scored 2 or 3, maybe 4 goals in my life. But mostly I have been a defender when I've been playing. But as a midfielder and a forward, never been great at shooting the ball at the goal. So I've been very inaccurate in front of goal. So I'm lucky to have at least a couple of goals under my belt. Should probably have had more. But it got to a stage where, and I like this as a memory because my grandparents, my grandpa especially on my dad's side, whenever he heard that I scored a goal, he'd give me money, like as if it was like how they give you a gift for your birthday and Christmas and stuff like that. Every time I scored, he'd give me money for that. So it's kind of like an incentive to score goals, but obviously didn't score a lot, which is probably why he ended up giving me money every so often. Sorry about that, I just cut that because I yawned in the middle of recording that. So it's not really that early in the morning. It's like 10 o'clock in the morning, but I'm still kind of waking up probably. so I was yawning, which didn't help that. But so ultimately I was talking about my grandpa. So he'd give me money. Obviously, I think the reason that he was giving me money obviously was because I didn't score that much. If you do hear some background noise, I've got my fan on in my room, so you might be able to hear that. You might be able to hear that in the last episode as well, because it's not on. It's only on the first setting, so like the lowest setting, but it still makes a decent amount of noise. And then we've also got cars out in the background, and it's raining today, so we might get a little bit more car movement and that sort of thing. Plus, I think we've got construction on a path down the street, I think, as well. Can't see from here. There's a few buildings and that in the way, but you might hear some cars go past because I'm next to a window, which is why I got light source, which is why I'm trying to angle this correctly, and I did try to do it with the last episode as well. Even with charging or without charging this camera, I'm trying to get the angle of the lighting right, because obviously if I move it too far in one direction, it will get into a situation where there'll be glare and you probably won't even see my face. But yeah, so ultimately, Australia coming out on top 5-1. They do have a game on Tuesday, the 28th, against China. Or people, I think it's China PR, but I'm guessing that's China People's Republic. But I'm not sure if that's exactly what the representation is. And what no, it's just a worker in a work ute. So obviously, when they go in reverse, they're gonna have a reversing siren or a reversing noise to make sure that people knew around them that they're reversing, and yeah, so they have a noise like that if you heard that come through. But yeah, so they have a game against China, another opportunity to win, because obviously a lot of these international games are going towards qualifying for the FIFA World Cup in 2026. So obviously we're going to have quite a few games still left to go. I think there's like 4 or 5 games left for qualification, and at the moment Australia are second presently, but especially with the 5-1, what it could come down to is that obviously if there are 3 or 4 good teams in the group that they're in terms of regions and that sort of thing, it's goal difference, and winning 5-1 especially definitely helps with that, because that's +4 in difference. So so winning by a lot, like winning by 1-0, is good because you're getting points from the win. Obviously, you get points for win and a draw, not necessarily for a loss. But goal difference will make all the difference. I was going to say something completely different. I was going to say like an analogy or something, and then I was thinking about it, I'm like, that wasn't going to work. But yeah, so Australia 5-1 over Indonesia. They got a game on Tuesday against China. So we'll see how they go. And yeah, so let's move on to the next team. And we're back. It's Sunday now. Obviously, when I recorded the football stuff, like English football and Australian football / soccer stuff, it was Friday. It's now Sunday. You can definitely tell I've changed since then. I got a haircut yesterday. So yeah, so my hair has been cut, as you can see. But yeah, so ultimately I had to wait obviously for the rest of the games, or like the last game for my teams this week, and in fact the only game this week for my teams in particular to play, which was last night. So ultimately had to wait for that, so ultimately had to record that. But we're going to start with the Giants first. So they had the bye, obviously, as I said last week. Right now they're sitting in 3rd position. Obviously with the bye they do not get any points. It doesn't work like the NRL and a few other places where the bye or having the week off gives you points during the competition. So they went from 1st to 3rd, obviously behind Adelaide Crows on percentage, because the Adelaide Crows have won their games, both of them pretty convincingly, against probably the teams in the easier side part of the draw. I think obviously they go up against some really good teams the next few weeks. I think Geelong, Gold Coast, and the Giants as well included in that spell. for the Adelaide Crows. It'll be interesting to see how they shape up against those teams that are looking to fight for finals contention, which obviously those three teams in particular already are looking like that's the case. And then obviously the Hawthorn Hawks are on top. Obviously they've played 3 games. They do have the bye eventually. I think it might be next round, possibly. So I'd have to have a look at the way that the buys are set up. But ultimately we are on the bye, so the lowest we can drop is 4th at the moment, just due to the fact that the only games that are still to play is the Gold Coast game, which that's the only team that can beat us in position, because their percentage is really, really good off the first game, obviously, that they played. So if they win today and win decently, even if it's like a couple of points, their percentage will put them right up towards in second. So ultimately we will drop to 4th. But at the moment we are in 3rd. Next round, let me have a look at the fixture. So obviously we're coming off the bye, is against Hawthorn on Saturday. It's a Saturday late game. So ultimately we'll be talking about that probably after Saturday. We'll probably be recording next Sunday on the result of the Giants, but it is 1st versus 3rd. It will be a top 4 battle anyway, regardless of what results happen today. So ultimately it'll be a top 4 battle, one of the first of the fixture of the year. So yeah, GWS had the week off, so they didn't play any football, and there's been some decent games. There's been some contentious games as well. Obviously talking about Collingwood in that regard against the Western Bulldogs, aka Footscray, because Footscray had their anniversary game at the MCG and they got absolutely shafted. But there's been some upsets already during this 2025 AFL season. The Saints got up last night against Geelong, which was crazy. I thought that was going to be a game that was going to be a sure thing, like it was going to be a bloodbath against the Saints. It was going to be an easy win for Geelong at Docklands, but didn't eventually do that. So yeah, so the Giants in third at the moment, could drop to 4th, but they are in the top 4 still by the end of this round, and we'll see them on Saturday coming up against the Hawthorn Hawks for the battle one of the first battles for the top 4. And lastly, we head into what my jersey's team is, the Gold Coast Titans. So this is the jersey. This is a jersey from a couple of years ago, actually. So I think this was actually the inaugural jersey with the new logo. The logo didn't always look like that. I do have one of the old jerseys that I could put on in a few weeks to differentiate between the two, because it is, I think it might be an away jersey. It's more the white colour than the blue. But yes, the Titans played last night. They played the last game of Saturday, and they came out winners, which was great. 26 points to 6 against Newcastle. Continues that record that I didn't realise that we had since 2015, that we'd won at home against the Knights. So it was a pretty convincing win. It was unfortunate we didn't hold them to 0, though we did get to about 6 minutes before the end of the game before they actually scored. So the defense kept up pretty much for about 65, 70 minutes of the game, which was perfect. I think they were leading 20 points to 0 before they scored, and then we scored I think it actually might have been 26 points to 0. So we scored all our points. And we did pretty well. Our defense, like obviously the both teams didn't play their best football, especially Newcastle. Kalen Ponga went missing a lot during the game. There was a lot of drop balls in terms of possession and knock-ons during the game, but obviously the Titans kept their possession up, and the defense was pretty damn good. Which obviously it looked like that was probably the thing that they worked on during the week in terms of training, which was good. Did obviously score 26 points. That puts us in positive points difference at the moment. And in the ladder, we went from I think it was 12th. We've moved up to 8th. So we're 8th at the moment. Obviously, we've still got 2 games left. And the only game that does matter in terms of changing our result, we could go to 9th if the Manly Sea Eagles win the last game this round against Canberra, the Raiders. The Raiders are in 5th at the moment, whereas the Sea Eagles are in 11th. If the Sea Eagles win in general, their for and against their points differential is better than ours. They're still in positive, even though they lost last week. So they will move to 8th and we will move down to 9th, whereas the Knights dropped from 3rd right down to 9th at the moment, so they'll drop to 10th and they'll be under us at the position. But if the Manly Sea Eagles do not win against Canberra, we stay in the top 8, which is great. Obviously the first time this season, if we do finish the round in 8th, that we finish in the top 8, even with obviously the bye in the first week. Obviously we didn't have any points, so it was only going to be 8th or 9th. And excuse that, seems that everybody wants to mow the lawn, even though the weather is not that great. It's very cloudy and overcast outside. They want to mow their lawn and stuff like that, and do all sorts of stuff. I mean, it is a weekend, to be fair, but especially with the weather as it is, I don't understand it. But yeah, so we moved to 8th. I think we're plus 4 for and against. Yeah, plus 4. So we scored 50 points and conceded 46. So we're in front. So we're in positive. In front of us is the Warriors at the moment, but again that could change to Manly. But in the top 8 at the moment, and this is just before 12 o'clock, it's actually 11:30 in the morning on Sunday. You got the Storm in first, you got the Tigers who've moved into second with their win yesterday against the Dolphins, the Broncos, the Sharks, that's your top 4, and then at the moment it's the Raiders, the Bulldogs who get to play later on today at 4 o'clock against the Eels, the Warriors and the Titans in the top 8. But again, like I said, if Manly do win the late game against Canberra, against the Raiders, they will move into 8th and we'll move into 9th. So yeah, good, convincing win. Lots of good players stepped up. Jaden Campbell especially, making sure that half-back position at the moment is his. And Tino has come back from injury and he's been playing absolutely magnificently in the forward pack, in the lock position. So actually that might be technically second row. But he's doing pretty well. Like, he's one of our best players consistently. And I mean, he's been like that. He's the captain. He's been very consistent like that throughout his career at the Titans. And it just, since he's come back, he's fully back in to the swing of things now. Obviously we play on Friday night in Sydney against the Roosters this week, so it is the 6 o'clock game, so it's the earlier game on Friday. So I won't end up watching the game obviously live. Obviously I'll be at work when it starts, so obviously I'll see the highlights and see what's going on with the game. But good win at home. First home win. Obviously it took us, I think, like 7 or 8 games last year to pick up our first win. But we've done it in round 3 this year, so that's great. That's a great start, and hopefully we can consistently get some more wins under our belt. Because we go to Sydney, and then after that we go back to the Gold Coast against the Dolphins on Saturday the 5th of April. So we have a Friday game against the Roosters, who we've been very patchy against in years gone by. Their team at the moment is not the strongest, and again they are in a position where even including the games that are coming up, they are down in 14th at the moment, so they're not doing well. Not doing great there. So hopefully it'll be another win. Again, we are in Sydney, so who knows. With the Roosters, it's been very inconsistent in terms of some of the teams at the bottom of the table. getting wins, but hopefully that stays consistent and stays true next round. But we'll see how we go, because you never know with the travel. So it'll be Friday at 6 o'clock is the Roosters and Titans game. But 26 points to 6 win over the Newcastle Knights yesterday. Great result. Hopefully the first of many wins this year, and hopefully we can see finals. But again, it's round 3. It's still March, so who knows what will happen during this season, because we've seen some crazy results already, and who knows what will happen. But good result. Can't be any less happy about it, apart from maybe holding them to 0. But they kept up for pretty much the majority of the game, so I can't be too upset with that. But 26 points to 6 winners over the Newcastle Knights. Great result for the Gold Coast Titans. And that'll be the end of this episode of How's My Team. Like I said, obviously it was going to be a shorter episode, this one. Most of them will probably be consistent around probably that half an hour mark. Obviously, because I can ramble during games, obviously talking about other teams and stuff like that. It's consistently going to be a situation where I can talk about other teams, and then I could ramble on for like 5-10 minutes. So episodes are probably going to be longer. It is pretty consistent in that regard, but hopefully it's not too long like it was last week. But we'll see what happens. I think maybe the EPL might come back next week, but again, we've got a situation where obviously we've still got international games on Tuesday, for at least Australia anyway. Australia has an international game for the World Cup qualifying on Tuesday. But I do think the A-League goes back this week. So we'll at least see the Wanderers return and play. Who are they playing? Auckland. That's right, I remember. Auckland FC. So we might see Liverpool back this week as well in the EPL, and everything will be back to normal. But at least we'll know that the Giants are playing on Saturday and the Titans are playing Friday night. But I'm pretty sure the Wanderers will be back this week as well. So we'll be, obviously talking about all the results. This game might be a little bit longer next episode, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully I don't ramble on too much. But thank you guys so much for watching this episode of How's My Team. This has been Mario Man 2100. You guys have a great night, and of course, take care.